Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on and how y'all doing today? This is the Club of the Man 1993 and this is just a brief review of Monday Night Raw. It took place this past Monday, February 12th, 2024 and it took place in Lexington, Kentucky. I didn't live tweet during Raw this week. I had a very bad day on Monday, so I wasn't really in the mood to tweet and whatnot, and I was trying to focus on other things. And I apologize about that. But I gotta stay on fire because I am seeing before recording this review that I am up to 1,975 subscribers. That's right. The man is 25 away from 2,000. So I'm still pushing for that goal. Trying to get there by WrestleMania. Will it happen? Will it not? We'll just have to find out. If not, it'll happen when it happens. But we're here to review Raw. Raw this week was fine. The best thing about the show, for sure, was definitely, once again, the segment with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Which, yes, we still don't have answers. And again, my biggest question is, what the heck did Rock and Cody talk about whenever Cody originally said he was not going to face Roman at WrestleMania, to then, of course, change to, never mind, I am facing Roman at WrestleMania. But this week, we seem to have a story progression with Seth Rollins taking offense to being called the number 2 champ. Which, I like that they're making that a story. They're making up for that, and I think that's great. Because if if it was Vince, they would keep booking Seth Rollins, treat him like the number 2 champ, and he would just settle being the number 2 champ. Well, nada. That's not happening. The rest of the show was just fine. Mostly qualifying matches for the Chamber. I mean, it's pretty obvious, though, who is winning the Chamber matches. But some things could be set up maybe in that Women's Chamber match. And honestly, I'm still kind of stuck between two people for the women. I still think it's going to be Becky Lynch. But something's giving me this inkling to not rule out Liv Morgan. And again, we'll of course talk about it at some point. But I'm going to kind of brush through this. Again, not much really happened. It was fine. Again, it was harmless. It's just one of those episodes where it was fine when you watched it once. No need to watch it again. Let's roll through it. We opened up with Imperium, the full team of Gunther. The Ring General Gunther, your Intercontinental Champion. And teaming up with Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. The way I say it, I always still think of Poppy from Seinfeld. Giovanni Vinci. It sounds like him. Except, of course, I'm not sloppy like Poppy. But they took on the team of Main Event, Jey Uso, and the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. The match was fine. Can we please just get to that blow-off match, though, with Imperium and New Day, where there's got to be a stipulation? Because, again, I've been invested in the feud, and it's definitely lit a fire and brought a more serious side out of the New Day. And it's lit a fire under Kaiser and Vinci. But can we just get the finale? Like, I thought maybe it would happen at Chamber. Hasn't been announced yet. But I guess this is more of a setup for a match that we're not getting at Chamber. We're getting next week on Raw. Gunther and Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship. But the Faces won with Jey Uso hitting a splash on Giovanni Vinci. And we're being told that next week we will be getting Jey Uso versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Uso will be showing up to cost Jey the match. And we're going to finally get a clear-cut view and finally get the build to that match for WrestleMania. Jey versus Jimmy. Brother versus brother. And then we had a vignette with Andrade, wish they would call him Cien Almas again, talking about typical stuff that, you know, a returnee has anymore these days. How life has shown the different paths. He loves the business. And he talks about how WWE is the next steps for him. He was talking about how he was NXT United States Champion, but it wasn't enough. He had to leave to remember who he was, and now he's back, and he knows the direction is clear. Will he be doing something before WrestleMania? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. Bobby Lashley took on Bronson Reed. Again, a fine match. They had a series of matches I remember last year where I thought they were actually teasing a feud, which honestly would have been great. But then they drafted a separate brand. I think the last time they really collided was at Backlash when they wrestled against Austin. The two that wrestled Austin Theory in that triple threat for the U.S. title. Bobby won with a spear. I kind of thought, well, first off, I thought maybe the Final Testament will interfere, but I guess maybe they're going to save that till Chamber, maybe? I don't know. And probably set up that 6-man tag with the Final Testament and Bobby Lashley, the Street Profits at WrestleMania. I also thought maybe they would do that because also, again, Bronson Reed is Australian. We can't forget that. So could have, been, interesting to see them throw him into the match because it's in his home country, but guess not yet. Bobby Lashley does win the spear and he qualifies for the Chamber match, along at the time with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre. Speaking of which, we get a recap of Drew attacking Cody Rhodes last week. Next week's main event of Raw will be Cody versus Drew. We also get another sit-down interview with Sami Zayn, who talks about how he's not giving up, and he's interrupted by Shinsuke Nakamura, who compares him to Cody Rhodes and says he'd love to see his true self in the ring tonight. Setting up for tonight's main event. Where they're going with Sami after he doesn't qualify for the Chamber, I still have no idea. But I still wonder if somehow he is still going to get into the world title match and make it a triple threat at WrestleMania. We'll have to wait and see, though. I'll save the Cody Rhodes segment for last. Everything else I want to just brush through here really quick. Liv Morgan defeated Zoey Stark to qualify for the Chamber. Again, with Liv having this revenge tour storyline, obviously coming after Rhea, who she does have history with. They were tag partners, and when Rhea first turned heel, she had turned on Liv, and then Rhea was the one who rode her off television. I still think the match to do is Rhea and Becky, but it wouldn't surprise me if Liv won. Or again, if Becky does win the Chamber, I still think if they do Rhea versus Becky, I think Rhea should win. But what if they had Liv be the one to eventually dethrone Rhea? Which they could maybe do at SummerSlam, maybe? Never know. Who knows? But she's in the Chamber. Judgment Day and R-Truth, they basically tell Truth, look, enough is enough. You're not in Judgment Day. Tonight, and there's been no initiations, and tonight will be an execution, they're saying. Of course, and R-Truth realizes he's dead, and then he has a match with JD McDonough, which before the match, he is trying to call Miz to help him, but Adam Pearce rushes him to get to the ring, and I don't think Miz never showed up. JD McDonough does beat R-Truth. They finally give JD a win. Afterwards, they attack R-Truth, and they get saved by DIY. And then we had a backstage later on in the show where R-Truth was like, I never thought I'd ever be saved by DX. And he calls Ciampa Triple H and Johnny Gargano Shawn Michaels. Which, honestly, if they wanted to compare them to them, that's a good comparison, I would definitely say. Which was awesome to see as well. I still think there's a chance that, even though they're still teasing another match at some point with DIY for the tag titles, I still think the long-term plan, since they're fighting British Strong style, I still think they're going to have Awesome Truth be the one. Because you kind of want to see R-Truth get his comeuppance. Change Judgment Day to Live, Laugh, Love. It's just so hilarious. But all that, Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn have a segment backstage where they thank each other for having each other's backs, and the fans believe in them, and they hug it out, this and that. We have Becky Lynch having a segment saying she saw an interesting sign about her going to prom in 2034, and says the road to WrestleMania has already been crazy and unpredictable, and she loves that about this. She talks about how obsessed she is about this business, how mostly great that is. But she's missed so many things. And she's had to have difficult conversations with her 3-year-old daughter. But she's obsessed with getting the title back, and she hasn't held the title in more than 2 years. And that means facing down one of the most dominant champions we've ever seen. And whether you love it or hate them, she wants to make a toast to the wild journey we're on all the way until WrestleMania. And she grabs a lemonade and raises it and says, this is to Rhea Ripley. Enjoy your last few weeks as champion. Bottoms up. Then out comes Nia Jax, who is facing Rhea Ripley at Chamber. And yes, I have recently acknowledged that Nia Jax is getting better. But her promos are still painful. She comes out and gets all emotional, basically saying, I know we've had differences, but she has a lot of respect for Becky. If her mom was half the mom she was, she'd be so lucky. Maybe one day she'll be a mother and she can use Becky as an example. But she tells her that she'll be the one, though, that she'll be facing at WrestleMania. Because Nia's going to win at Chamber. Rhea comes out, she rushes to the ring, a brawl breaks out. Becky gets a missile dropkick on Nia, and I think also she got smashed in the corner, and I got her lemonade spilled or something like that. Again, very obvious that Becky's going to win the Chamber, but I keep saying, I wouldn't count out Liv Morgan. Also, by the way, apparently Shotzi Blackheart was supposed to be in a qualifying match. But I guess she's doing some stuff in NXT, because I guess they're teasing a match with her and Lyra Valkyria for the NXT Women's title. And apparently she got hurt. So apparently replacing her in a qualifying match on SmackDown on Friday is out of the fire, which, good. Give her an opportunity. Why are they having... I think Isla Dawn's hurt, I think. But why are they still having Alba Fire sit on the bench? And call her Kaylee Ray again, by the way. Anyways, Drew McIntyre is being interviewed backstage, says Cody is selfish, and he's the underdog here. He beat AJ last week just to qualify for one of the most dangerous matches in WWE, and then he'll have to win things the right way. He tells Cody to get himself out of their match next week. LA Knight then beats Ivar in a qualifying match. No interference from AJ Styles. You notice it's mainly SmackDown stars in the Chamber. That's why I still wonder why they didn't just do Raw versus... just Raw stars face Raw stars and SmackDown stars facing SmackDown stars. I'm okay if they mix the brands in for the Chamber, but I kind of find it a little bit strange that they're still not having Raw stars face Raw stars and whatnot, whatever. Anyway, Sami Zayn's getting ready for his main event, and he ran to Drew McIntyre. And I guess Sami said McIntyre's name earlier tonight, and he says, keep your name out of my mouth. And Sami says, you're my way. And then he walks away. He heads towards the ring for his main event match. Adam Pearce is also chatting with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. I guess as they announced also, there will be a second chance battle royale before Chamber for the last spot for the women's. Okay, even though they're letting people who weren't actually in the qualifying matches apparently be in that. Strange, but oh well. Of course, Chelsea Green, comes in and demands a spot in the last chance battle royale when Pearce says he's got hard decisions to make, and Green whining about it, demanding a singles match. And then Shayna rolls up and says she'd be happy to ruin her dreams, limb by limb. Sami Zayn lost to Shinsuke Nakamura in the main event. Afterwards, he gets beaten down by Nakamura and Drew McIntyre. Cody comes out and makes the save. That's all that really was. To talk about also the segment with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, which is definitely the best part of the show. I say that for last because it was the best thing of the show. Cody Rhodes comes out, his usual intro. Talking about how he's going to be challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. Gives us credit for being able to say that. And he says, we made our voices heard. And of course, he does put over the We Want Cody chants and hashtags. He doesn't know how to repay us. But it says there's one way. He gets it. He's a passionate guy about this place and his part in it. And he's often wearing his heart on his sleeve. But he doesn't want to become emotional lest he becomes a crybaby. Which, of course, gets the Rocky Sucks chants going. And we were saying we want Cody. But there was one man who didn't want to hear it. And that man happens to be the most famous man alive, a potential presidential candidate, and the man who coined the term Cody Crybabies. And then we see the footage of The Rock calling them Cody Crybabies on Pat McAfee's show. Cody says promos are different than they used to be, and a few people can match The Rock on the microphone. But what are we supposed to do with these nuggets? He asked Pat McAfee for clarity, who informs him he's meant to put them in his rear. And Cody tells us not to mistake his levity for a lack of seriousness. He calls The Rock out for slapping him in the face at the press conference. And sometimes you could hear the rivers overflowing, and he saw a look in The Rock's eyes that wasn't the people's energy, but rather malevolence. And him and Roman are the perfect storm. Rock laid hands on him, and that means he's going to hit him back. So first you're like, they teasing Rock versus Cody? So then Seth Rollins comes out. And I'm like, oh boy, what's Seth got to say? This is the first time we've heard from Seth since the press conference also. When Cody didn't choose him. But he also seemingly stuck up for him also after Rock slapped him. So Seth comes out, and Cody thanks him for having his back at the press conference. Seth's like, no problem. And he says, as much as I was looking forward to defend the title against you at WrestleMania, I understand why you decided to go after Roman. You have to finish the story. And millions of people wanted to finish that story. But Seth also tells him straight he needs to finish his story for himself. For his dad, for Seth, for everyone here tonight, because if he doesn't beat Roman, the landscape on the other side of WrestleMania is very, very dark. You got the most powerful champion of the modern era with more power, more leverage, and he defends his title less. The glass ceiling gets thicker, the brass ring gets higher, and this is probably the last chance anyone has to take the title and return that power to the people. Please do that. Please do that. Don't pull the trigger this year. But anyways, this is where things get interesting. Seth really made this interesting. And again, I love that Seth finally basically told a story where he's addressing, he's had enough of being referred to as the number 2 champion. Because again, he has worked his ass off, making that championship mean something. Cody might be the right man for the job to take down Roman. But what's his plan? He did everything just like last year. He trained, he won the Rumble, but the stack is stacked against him just as bad as it was. The bar is even higher now because The Rock is involved too. And he needs to tell Cody, though, he's not alone in fighting this battle. They don't see eye to eye, but a couple weeks back, Cody told Roman he didn't want the title. He wanted to take everything. And Seth felt that. And that's why he stepped up. He's sick and tired of these arrogant, entitled pricks throwing their weight around without consequences, and he's sick of them always getting away with it. And he has to admit that the man Roman now is partially Seth's fault. They were in the Shield together. He taught Roman what he knows, but he never imagined he'd become the monster he's become. Now that monster has two heads as he's linked up with the only man who's as entitled and selfish as he is. There, of course, was a Paul Heyman reference. But when it comes to fighting the Bloodline, to fighting The Rock, to fighting Roman, there's only one man on earth uniquely suited to be Cody's shield. He was once an architect, and now he's a visionary, a revolutionary. He is Seth freaking Rollins. Obviously, again, I don't think they may have said it in the promo, but this obviously, why wouldn't Seth want to go after Roman? And this is why, honestly, if Roman would have worked Survivor Series, I would have been okay with them this past fall doing a Roman versus Seth match at Survivor Series. Champion versus champion. Because they technically have unfinished business. Even though there was not really a reason to do that match at Rumble 2022, again, that finish still stands out to me. Because Roman has a history of losing to Seth in big matches. But again, also, it's the only match that Roman has had since he's turned heel that he did not have Paul Heyman in his corner. Only singles match without Paul Heyman in his corner. And look what happened. He didn't win. He lost by DQ. So, I'm thinking there's a tag match coming in the future with Cody and Seth versus The Rock and Roman. And quite frankly, if I'm being 100% honest, that should be the main event of Elimination Chamber. But that can't happen because Seth Rollins is hurt. So instead, they're doing a Grayson Waller effect segment, which, okay, I can kind of get why they're having Grayson Waller on the show, because, again, he's from Australia. We're going to be in Perth. We're going to have a Grayson... Sorry, I'm good. A Grayson Waller effect segment with Cody and Seth both as guests. So if they're doing that, and Seth's getting involved in this story, they've got to do that tag match with Roman and The Rock. The thing, though, is if not in Perth, it's going to have to be at WrestleMania. Which could be the main event of night one. You see, the thing, though, that, again, the elephant still in the room is Seth Rollins. If Seth Rollins wasn't hurt, I wouldn't be really against that. It would make sense. The problem is, though, is Seth is hurt, and he's basically being protected until WrestleMania. So come WrestleMania, and they already have probably Drew McIntyre and maybe Sami Zayn wrestling him for the title. He's going to be pulling double duty. Both nights, both him and Cody. Yes, like I said, they can do Rock Roman versus Cody and Seth on night one. Night two, Seth defends his title, and Cody beats Roman, as it should happen this year. Maybe, because even afterwards, I'm pretty sure Seth's taking a break after WrestleMania. But also, it wouldn't make sense for them to go past WrestleMania. Cody beats Roman for the title. And if Seth's not champion anymore, because I don't think Seth's going to be... I think Seth's dropping the belt to Drew at WrestleMania. why would you still want to do it? Because I even thought maybe they'll do it at the spring Saudi Arabia show. But then I thought, again, like I said, it wouldn't make sense to then. So I think we're getting it at WrestleMania on night 1, the tag match. Seth Rollins gets a main event spot, and, it kind of makes sense. We could still get 2 nights of Cody, Seth, Roman, and Rock. I'm pretty sure The Rock is going to wrestle in some way, because people are even saying, what about Cody versus Rock? We could have done that at Chamber, to be honest. But instead we're getting that Grayson Waller effect. So that could be setting up for that match. But it's a very heavy tease. And I think at this point it's a match that, can't, be passed up. But like I said, the elephant in the room is, will Seth be okay to do that? Again, because of his injuries. We'll have to wait and see, though, where that goes. But, guys, that's my review of Raw. Again, it was fine. Again, the Seth and Cody stuff was definitely the most noteworthy stuff of the show. Everything else was just fine. Qualifying matches, a couple random matches, setting up for a few things next week. Again, we'll be getting Jay and Gunther for the IC title, which will probably be when Jimmy costs Jay. We set up that match. Again, Sami Zayn's teasing something there, heavily teasing Becky Lynch when in the Chamber. So I gave it B-. I mean, it's still fine. Did its job. Didn't hate it. It's just not going to go back on my way to watch it again. So what are your guys' thoughts on this week's episode of Raw? You guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. And when do you think we're going to be getting that tag match with Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth? WrestleMania night 1, maybe? We'll have to wait and see. Leave your guys' thoughts down in the comments section below. Also, be sure, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You'll also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And as always, guys, I'm checking out. I'll see you guys all later. There will be a live stream later on tonight where I do talk about Patrick Clark, the Velveteen Dream, and his recent posts with his apology video and thoughts on when he finally was able to break his silence on an interview with Chris Van Vliet recently. So until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your day. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!